Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. I'm playing a little Dominions 6 here, which I discovered this week. I actually bought it a year and a half ago, but I discovered it this week. That's how it works. Man, what a fucking awesome game this is. You're gonna be seeing some videos. I already recorded a full playthrough of it, like 10 or 11 hours or something like that. But yeah, it's really damn good. And it's just like, this is why I can't really get into board games anymore. And yeah, I get it. You know, the main appeal of board games is like this, the social aspect, the physicality of it. You're around a table. I mean, a lot of people play board games just like online, so you don't even have that anymore. And it's like, I mean, to each their own, obviously, to each their own. But sitting around and playing fucking, it's hard to, well, okay, so like playing the Civ board game versus playing Civilization, the video game. Like, I just don't get it. I have friends, they love the Civ board game. They also love the Civ video game. But they love to get together and play like the Civ board game. And I just don't really get it. And so I don't really do board games much anymore. Like, almost at all. Because I'd almost rather just like sit around and just like have dinner and chat. Rather than... And part of that is I don't like waiting for other people's turns. Because I'm snappy, man. My turns take like 2 seconds. And then I'm done. Boom. Done. Done. I don't ever think about stuff. I just go. Because I don't really care about winning. Or losing. I just, whatever. Let's just move it along. But it's just like, I'm playing Dominion 6. And, you know, so far I've only played against AI. And I don't really have much interest in playing multiplayer. But, board games could just never. They could just never compete with this. It would be impossible. I mean, part of it would just be impossible or extremely difficult due to the breadth of options available to you in this game. You know, you have 35 pretty much like 35 factions. You have 3 different ages you can play in. There's what, like 7 different schools of magic, I think. There's fire, air, water, earth, death, nature, glamour, astral, blood, I think is all of them. And then there's all the different schools of magic, like not the elements, but the schools of magic: conjuration, alteration, evocation, construction, enchantment, thaumaturgy, blood magic. And then just like in one school, you have this many spells, or all the conjuration spells. And then all factions have like their own unique spells that get thrown in there. Like, every faction is completely different with unique units, unique abilities. And then you have the pretender gods that are all pretty drastically different with all the different bless effects. Like, it's just, the amount of content is just, would never be really done in a board game without it being obscene, and no one would really buy it or want to play it. And then you have just all the aspects of it being a video game that just can't be replicated in a physical board game, because everything in a board game has to kind of be able to be handled and processed by a human, you know? Everything has to be written on a card or has to be actually rolled. You know, how many, like, you go into battle in these games with like, what do I, like, this guy, look, this guy alone has 121 units in his army. and every single one, you know, is swinging a weapon, and that's a dice roll, and that just all happens in a video game. But in a board game, that pretty much all has to be kind of obfuscated or sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Hand waved, not hand waved, but simplified in some manner, you know. And then there's just all the aspects of like hidden information and simultaneous turns. If you play multiplayer in this game, everyone takes their turn simultaneously. They all click end turn, and then that all happens simultaneously. And all the battles are just done autonomously. You don't have any control over the battles. It all just happens, and you just get the report at the end. Like that, none of that can be done in a board game. And I feel that, and I know I'm specifically talking about Dominion 6, and I know I'm just suddenly going into this weird rant. It's just Dominion 6 reminds me a lot of a board game, and I think it's kind of born out of a lot of war games and things like that, that a lot of people enjoy. And the thing is, like, I used to really be into board games a lot. I bought a lot of them. I went to conventions, you know, all that stuff. And now I'm completely fallen out of it because video games just do there are some board games that I do think, well, pretty much anything could be replicated in a video game, but I do think there are some board games like party games and things like that that's just like more meant to just kind of have a light atmosphere and just have fun and blah blah blah. But you know, if you're going to sit down and have a board game night with a serious, like, oh, this is a real competitive board game, it's like, just play a fucking video game. Like, I don't know. That's where I'm at. Anyways, Dominion 6 is pretty good. It's probably not a good game for hanging with Mangg, just because there's a lot of thinking involved. And that's usually bad when I'm trying to just chat about stuff. Right. So, this week on this channel, we finished Clair Obscur. And we finished... what else did we finish? What was our other game? Doom. Yeah, we finished Doom the Dark Ages already. Not a super lengthy game, especially for the price. I think that is sort of a contentious thing. And from what I understand, it actually didn't sell all that well. It seems like most of their numbers came from Game Pass. And I think Game Pass is kind of this big mystery, to me at least, probably to the general public in general, is just like, how good is Game Pass for developers? You hear a lot of these horror stories about Spotify and artists that have all their music on Spotify, and they make just like pennies. You know, they make pennies per month. And they really just want you to actually go out and like buy the music, like through iTunes or even physical and things like that, because it's such a massive, big support. And I think about YouTube. You know, I think about just being on YouTube, and it's like, if you give me $1 on Patreon, that is worth you watching like 1,000 videos, assuming you don't have YouTube Premium. You know, like the ad rates that just come from regular viewers on YouTube is abysmal compared to even just like $1 on Patreon. I'm not telling you to give me $1 on Patreon. I'm just saying as an example. So it's like Game Pass. How many hours would I have to play your game on Game Pass in order to equal as if I just bought it outright? It has to be pretty high. And for a game like Doom the Dark Ages that a lot of people are going to play for like 10 to 12 hours and then be done with it, I can't imagine they're getting like amazing numbers out of it. Like, it just is, I just don't get it. I don't think it can't be that favorable. It just can't. I mean, I don't know how it all works because it's not ad based or anything. Microsoft pays them to have their games on Game Pass. But at a certain point, Game Pass becomes more and more ubiquitous. And Microsoft can continue to just kind of tick down those rates and be like, well, you probably want your game on Game Pass. Otherwise, no one's going to, play it, blah, blah, blah. So this is what we're going to give you. It's not like the very early days where it's like, yeah, please, we need your game on Game Pass, please. It's becoming less of that because everyone just talks about Game Pass. And you see it all the time now, especially because more and more discussions are cropping up about the price of games. And as the price of games go up, it's like, well, yeah, why would you spend $80? Just get it on Game Pass, bro. It's free. It's not free, obviously, but for most people, it's pretty much free. It's a very low price and gives you access to a shit ton of games that you don't own, but, still. And so that's why I still am against Game Pass. I think I do pay for it. It's just because I'm terrible about canceling stuff. But I never use it. I mean, I buy games. I bought Doom: The Dark Ages. Partly because I do want to support the devs, and I have to imagine that it's far more supporting to do that. And also, I just like to own it. And yeah, it's on Steam, so you don't really own it there either. But I own it more on Steam than a Game Pass user does. Right. It is the day of rant, I suppose. Ranting all day. Yes. So Doom: The Dark Ages is done. Clair Obscur is done. Again, both games heavily talked about being on Game Pass, and both games that I bought because I'm a good gamer. I'm a good capital G gamer. I buy my games. Nah, I mean, I don't care what you do or anything. But you know, it is questionable about the industry and the direction it's going. And then there's Nintendo, of which I really don't have any interest in doing anything with. I definitely did not buy a Switch 2. I definitely will almost certainly not be buying a Switch 2. And if it comes to a point where there is an exclusive game that I want to play that's exclusively on Switch 2, don't know what that exactly would be at the moment. Probably the next Zelda, or I mean, I struggle to think that Metroid Prime 4 will be exclusive to the Switch 2, but I guess it's possible. I don't even know the specs of the Switch 2. Is it like that much more powerful? I kind of doubt it, but maybe that's just me being cynical. I don't know. I'd have to check. Anyways. Sworn I had. Yeah, you're there. Kinda need you to stay there, though. Need more priests. What was I talking about? Right, yeah. So, if it comes down to it that there is an exclusive game for the Switch 2 that I want to play, what I'll most likely do is just buy it on their digital store and then emulate it. Assuming there's going to be Switch 2 emulators, which I always assume because that's what people do. Is it immoral because I didn't buy their overpriced console? Probably a little. Will I cry about it? Not really. Not really. Anyways. So then this week, there will be The Convergence, Elden Ring, and RimWorld. I recorded a lot of RimWorld. 20 videos, I think, total. So you will be seeing some of that for a while. And then Convergence is like, it's not that many videos. It's like 8 maybe, or somewhere around there. And then after Elden Ring, I'll probably upload Dominion 6 because I just want to get it out there and talk about it and spread the word of Dominions. Yeah, so that's where that's at. Over on the Exploring series, we had, oh boy, Substation 9. Yeah, that's what we had. And that was a fun one. That was a very creepypasta inspired one. I mean, more so than the rest of SCP. And this week I worked on The Implicit Door. 6462, that's it. It is a Scarlet King SCP, big on the big red man. Technically big on one of his brides that the Foundation finds and decides to start chatting with. Good times. Yeah, so it's about an hour long, as usual, and I decided, in what is certainly going to be contentious, I decided to not put in any art. I mean, there's one piece of art, but that's it. That was mostly due to me being lazy and wanting to play more Dominion 6. And that's the life of a YouTuber, my friends. That's how it goes. You know, everyone else gets to half-ass their job sometimes. Why don't I get to do it sometimes? I don't know. I mean, yeah, I get, you know, this has been brought up multiple times in the past, like on my Patreon and stuff. And the usual sentiment I get is that people don't really watch the videos. They just listen. And I definitely understand that. I perfectly understand that. My usual argument against just having a static image is that I'm not really in a position where I can just make my videos worse than they are. You know, usually the idea is to try to make your videos better and not worse. So that's usually the argument. But, you know, I'll see. Yeah, it's not going to become a regular thing, but this one I felt lazy. And there were just, you know, when I was like writing it, there were just certain sections I was like, I don't know what I'm going to use for this section or this section. And it's kind of all over the place and just, bleh. I mean, I guess in the old days I would have just filled the video with like images of fractals or I mean, I used to just occasionally just do like, here's a bunch of images of waterfalls. You know, just to have something to look at. I guess I could have done that. But it feels wrong most of the time to do something like that. I don't remember what video the waterfall one was. Oh, was that was that $39.99? Just load my own video up here. No, that one I used a bunch of images of like dogs and cats, or puppies and kittens and stuff. And that video has 913,000 views, 25,000 likes. It's one of my more popular videos. And it's just like, well, yeah, why not? Why not just have something to look at rather than nothing to look at? Even if it has absolutely nothing to do with the content of the video. And I put in text, I have no idea what art to use for this video, so here's a bunch of pictures of puppies and kittens. Yeah, I probably could have done that some more. Just for the hell of it, rather than cop out entirely. But, yeah, okay. Man, oh man, I'm having some misfortune. And yeah, it's just fucking these giants, man. They just eat too much. And I keep getting misfortune, and the heat is just off the charts. That's what's really killing things. We like the heat, but not that hot. Anyways, I'm getting distracted again. Yeah, so the implicit door should be pretty good. People like the Scarlet King. In fact, let's see. My video on the Scarlet King. God, it's pretty far down on the list of videos here. If you just Google Scarlet King. It's got 1.2 million views, and this was actually a re-upload that I had to do because someone complained about one image that I used that had nothing to do with the Scarlet King. And that's because in the early days of SCP videos, I grabbed art from lots of different places, including a lot of deviant art. And then I slowly learned that people that upload to DeviantArt are a little bit more anal. Actually, I don't even know if that one came from... It might have just come from... I want to say that one, if I recall, the one that got the complaint, that was from Tumblr. But I've just found that anyone that uploads stuff to ArtStation is just kind of nice, and they don't really mind. So that's good. Yeah, so I don't remember what the original video had before I deleted it. I had to re-upload, but it's at 1.2 million. Volgan's video on Scarlet King's at 2.4. Well, it's really his video on just Tufto's proposal, but obviously he markets it as just the Scarlet King. Is he uploaded recently? He's went like a month or something. No, I mean, he He's down to like 1 a month. I don't know what's going on with him or anything, but that's not a tremendous output. I still don't know if it's like his full-time job or not. I thought it was, because it's like crazy to me for him to have more subscribers than me and it not to be his full-time job. YouTube became my full-time job at like 100,000 subscribers or something like that. But I was living with my parents at the time, and it was, easy to be supported. I don't know his whole situation, but still, I mean, 1.1 million subscribers. And I'm pretty sure he crushes me. Well, not crushes, but I'm pretty sure he beats me on views every month. But he does live in Ireland, I believe. And I know that the ad rates are definitely not nearly as generous there. But, yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about the Vulcan. We've not chatted a whole lot. We don't have that much to say to each other, I guess. I mean, it's not like there's any bad blood or anything, but I am very much just a lurker, introvert. I don't reach out to anybody. And, he must be similar. I don't know. He's not a chatty Cathy. Anyways, what are we talking about? Right, yeah, so that's what's happening, the implicit door. And and that'll be that. I don't know what it... I think it's going to be another sort of apocalyptic SCP this week, if I recall. Let's see. I think it's a sequel or so it's going to be, yeah, SCP-7427, Fall Forever. Which is a... I could have sworn it's a... Oh, right, yeah. So it's basically... I mean, it's kind of pataphysics. I think it's connected to the Anafabula. Again, I don't really read all these articles until I have to. But I do read them. Kind of have to. Anyways, it'll be another big, lengthy sort of things. Right, so it's from SD Lock. Yeah. So it's kind of related to When Day Breaks and After the Storm. Which, did I do a video on that at some point? I don't know, I'm getting distracted. I did cover it in more aquatic SCPs, of course. All right, so yeah, that's all what's happening there. I did not do any D&D this week, and that's because Lego had to do some work nonsense this whole weekend, which is why we missed two brothers last night, so that was a bummer. We should be good to go for Wednesday. I'm hoping to rope him into Dominion 6, but I didn't start the introduction to it in a great way, because I called it the Cataclysm of Total War games, which isn't quite really accurate for multiple reasons. That was just like my first impression when I started playing, just because there was so many like things going on. But it's not that mechanically complex. It's just more about like the billions of options available to you. The real problem I think with Dominion 6 is the price. It's $45. I mean, it is a relatively new game. It's a year old, but it doesn't look like a new game at all. You know, it looks like from 2004 or something. So it's a tough sell for new people, I think. I mean, it's got a very positive rating, but even the positive reviews are like, this review, it's not for everyone, but for the ones it is for, it is the apex that all other games wish to be. So yeah, okay. Dominion 6 is the best game I've played since Dominion 5. Yeah. I like this game. It's massive and in-depth with its mechanics and lore, but despite playing the series for years, I still don't fucking get it sometimes, and it's fucking depressing. Yeah. So it's really a thing, like, you know, they're never gonna do it, but they would benefit from just like a demo or something, you know. I don't know how that would work, but like if they could just construct a demo that's just like, here you get one pick, you get one sort of selected faction, pre-selected pretender god or something like that, or maybe a choice of like 3, like an easy one, a medium one, and a hard one, like, or complexity, I mean. And then you just play like a 1v1 or something on a very small map, just to like introduce you to the very basics of the game. That would probably do a lot, you know, pretty well, but it's never going to be a series that's mainstream in any way, and it's made by 2 guys. So, and obviously they're much more interested in just like making more content and balancing everything and just doing more stuff rather than trying to make this perfect marketable product. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, I'll buy it for him if he's interested in playing. It'd just be fun to do like 2v2 with AI or something like that on a smaller map. We'll see. But yeah, we should get back to D&D on Thursday, I think. And possibly end this campaign. Maybe. I don't know. I'm actually thinking for the next campaign, I think we're going to continue with Tales of Argosa, because they all like that. And I think I'm going to do Castles in Tillin. I think that could be pretty fun, and it's sort of, you know, it's kind of a light mega dungeon to introduce them to that whole concept, rather than constantly traipsing around a hex crawl. Like, it's a different kind of experience for old school gaming. So, but it's not like Barrow Maze, or where it's just like, okay, back into this horrible underground pit, you know, again and again. It's at least a cool castle with ghosts and all these fun things happening. And when I tried it solo, which I believe I uploaded those videos, you know, it was, initially it was, I went in pure combat focused, if I recall. And it's not very a combat-focused place. And it's more about the interactions you have with all these different ghosts and the sort of things that can arise from that, which doesn't really work at all with a solo experience. So, I think DMing it for a group will be much more entertaining. So, that's what I'm leaning towards right now. So, that'll either start next week or in a couple of weeks, most likely. I think we're all pretty aware that we're kind of at the end. They know the location of the final boss now, so it's just a matter of time for them to go in and either be victorious, wipe out the cult once and for all, or get horribly murdered. We'll see. But that's about all I have to say. That's all I have to say. All else I can say is just go check out Dominion 6, because it's really damn good. If you like strategy games, I'm saying. And I struggle sometimes to even call myself a strategy game fan, but Dominion 6 is just bred different, man. It's just good. Alright, anyways. For now, my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. And I'll see you fine folks next week.